I decided to make some content. And, one of my viewers reminded me that, Cenk Uygur on my show when we debated said that I was crazy for saying that, there would be camps created to house undocumented people. And then, of course, the Guantanamo news is announced. So I made this little slice. You want to have a beer with people who want to put people in mass deportation camps. They want to deport.
You think we're going to get put in camps? You sound all right.
Now, if you're listening, those are headlines about said Guantanamo pivot. And this then obviously was not received well. But of course, look, we do things on the internet. I'm sure there are people, Emma, who are mad at you and are like, see, because you felt confident that Kamala Harris would win. Mm-hmm. We make predictions, we say things, and because this is what we do, we often get proven it wrong, and we need to be able to take that kind of criticism. And in my opinion, especially about something so consequential, like the treatment of 30,000 people who have literally done nothing wrong other than live in this country without papers. So that's why I made that.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, you're trying to make a living on the internet, and we have to use social media, and I don't.
And once again, I am a multimillionaire, so I just want to, name that. Richies. And that obviously didn't sit well. Cenk actually kind of took it on the chin. He just said it was out of context. It was not out of context. Everyone can go back and look. He said that I was talking about Chinese Americans. I actually never mentioned Chinese Americans until after. I didn't even say Americans. I just mentioned Chinese people because undocumented Chinese people are a target of this administration. Mm-hmm. The point is this. I want to separate from here on off. Let's detach the Cenk cart. Let's just bye-bye. And let's talk about Ana. Ana Kasparian, again, a co-host at TYT, got very mad and said that I am attacking Cenk and sort of, stood up for the we over there last week.
Francesca Fiorentini is currently attacking you about this as if Donald Trump is unique. He's novel compared to past presidents, certainly a special kind of evil that we've never seen before. In her mind, these are the gulags that she was warning about. But
also never said gulags. A special kind of evil, never said that.
But in fact, this has been a long-standing practice. You can be against that practice, but Donald Trump isn't doing anything new here.
Yeah, so I'm going to address it. I think that the clip that Francesca's using is misleading and totally out of context, but that's okay. But I know that—
No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. That dishonesty is not okay.
Get me.
But
get me.
Go ahead.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't mean to
but she's getting the likes that she wants, right? Otherwise, I mean, who would pay attention to anything she's doing?
Let's go. Let's go, girl. Let's go, Regina.
Anyway, continue, Jen.
Yeah.
Nobody would ever pay attention to anything I'm doing. This is true. I will, however, say I did hit 100,000 on YouTube before I even invited Cenk on. I've had a very robust career before and after my time at TYT, which I actually enjoyed from time to time. I did. I was at AJ Plus. I worked at MSNBC, had a special there. I worked for National Geographic Channel. I did things for Coachella live stream. Don't kill me. It was a whole thing. It was fun. And now I'm working also with Zateo. This is fun though, Emma. And so now I wasn't going to say nothing.
Can we pause there for just a sec really briefly so I can just address what she said? So so first of all, I appreciate your being very fair. Getting an election prediction wrong to me is different than protecting marginalized people from an incoming president who has basically a far right agenda. I would say that's a little bit different. But yeah, I was wrong and people clowned on me. I take it on the chin. We're
yes,
in
you do.
Political discourse and debate space. And as long as it's not, I would say, bad faith, I mean, you get that from the right, but if I get it from the left, you got to take it on the chin. It's what I've signed up for. And I only really responded to Ana because I saw that video and you're my friend. She used to be my friend. And if she had been putting out continuously content that I think is making the world better. I would defend her if the roles were reversed and you were saying that about her, but that time has passed. And when she said no one would pay attention to you if you weren't talking TYT, that got me really angry because a lot of us are really, like, I consider myself extremely lucky that I lucked into an internship with TYT, and I was able to work myself work up at the company again for little pay, as I've talked about, and I know you've experienced, a lot of other people have as well. I was able to live at home during that period and save up and, you know, live at my mom's house, who she's now bringing into this debate for no reason,
Sure.
because of private conversations that we've had. But I just feel like you are so talented, and Michael Brooks passed away, and there was a spot open, horrifically, a spot open for me at the Majority Report. I was lucky.
Sure.
I could be in a different industry if that didn't happen. You have had sometimes bad luck, like with AJ Plus and stuff. I mean, it's
No,
just,
I really didn't actually. I just am allergic to money, Emma. Just don't worry about it. I left AJ Plus. AJ Plus
you're so
offered
deserving,
me,
and it's
AJ
just,
Plus
it's,
offered me in 2018 when they were moving to DC a very handsome salary that I turned down because I had been there for, at that point, 4 years, and I wanted to move on, and I wanted to move to LA. So that's what happened to me. And I moved to LA not for TYT. I moved to LA to actually like pitch more shows, do more comedy, meet more people, get managers and agents and whatnot. And I did. So that is, I've had a lot of luck, and I've also turned a lot of shit down. So I just want to name that. But I really, here's what I love
Fair
about
enough.
this. Here's what I love about this. I have tried for so many months, Emma, to not put these people's names in my mouth. To not talk about them, to hold my tongue, to refrain from talking about it. And as someone who also watches the Majority Report, I actually know you and Sam have taken also great lengths, but that the broader left audiences on platforms like YouTube and elsewhere are distraught. They are upset. They see the coverage of crime and homelessness and blaming fires on, some unhoused guy that totally turned out to be false, and the Aurora, Colorado, gang takeover, and the DEI when talking about the FAA and the crash recently, on and on and on to the cozying up to Trump. And they are upset and they are livid. And so what I decided to do was to talk to Cenk. And to be full disclosure, Ana also agreed to talk to me. However, she had a family emergency. And I said, dude, you take care of that. Do not come on my show. I wish you the best. Good luck with that. And that week she went on Glenn Beck's show. So anyway, be that as it may, I don't think I'm going to be getting her back on the show. But the reason, I just want to thank you because you cut strays for me, speaking of making it super personal. But I just want to say, Emma, none of this is personal with TYT. None of it is. It's like, it truly, for me, I'm actually, I think Ana and I have been like friendly, we took a hike a couple times, but none of it was personal. It's always about the politics for me. And it gotten to the place, which honestly, I really do still welcome her to actually hear her out. But because I want to know. Why are we covering things like this? Why are we talking about things like this? Why are we focusing on these small granules that miss the forest for the trees? Is it because ultimately you've never been a progressive? Is it because ultimately you are kind of a centrist? That you might be left on certain issues like corruption or, capitalism and whatnot. Although, Cenk, TBD on union rights. But that ultimately, when it comes to things like unhoused people, crime, you believe the right-wing narrative. When it comes to undocumented people, you believe that you should plaster the face of an undocumented, mentally ill man who was falsely accused of starting a fire, the Kenneth fire, which was not the Palisades fire or the Eaton fire, in the middle of this wildfire. You believe in plastering that person's face on your Chiron, and when he has not been charged, and blame homeless people like crazy ass Mel Gibson. That is a political disagreement.
Right.
This is not personal, and it sure as shit is not about clicks, because let me say, the amount that I could say and choose not to when both she and, let's bring the cart back in, and Cenk are on a little bit of a war path against every single person they used to work with, that we know, that we love, that we like.
Yeah.
David Dole, for example.
Yeah.
Mike Figueredo, like all these other people, to say nothing of former employees. It's really, really sad.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to chew on there. You know, I will even say we try to avoid it as well. I mean, we clip everything. Perhaps they were upset about the fact that it was clipped when we had an IM or a call in. But, you know, at the end of the day, as I was saying, they're adults. We're in the political debate and discourse space, and you've got to be able to take the heat and have the better argument. And based on their view counts, it doesn't seem like people think that they have the better argument anymore. So they choose to go after people on Twitter for engagement. And as you say, I, of course, could use information that I know from my personal relationship with Ana and friendship, where we would have many calls and conversations. I could have chosen to use that stuff against her. I chose not to. She doesn't seem to have those scruples, but she distorted things about my life. The fact that my parents were lawyers and I grew up with some privilege, to make a claim that I don't have to work for a living. The end of that, like I am privileged in the sense of like, I don't know if I would be able to have engaged with these ideas at such a young age, because this was an interest that developed when I was young, if I didn't have this incredible education that I wish everyone had access to, or if I didn't have the comfort to be able to exchange in these ideas and not have to worry about like,
Sure,
is there going to be food on my table?
Yeah.
But that's kind of where it ends, because ever since I've left my parents' house, I am making my own money.
The answer is you're not a lawyer. You know what I
paying
mean?
my own
Like,
bills. I chose
you're-
not to be a lawyer. I chose to make this career. So
what
I
you're
don't
trying
know
to
what
say
she's
is you're a
referring to.
class traitor, and we kind of like love you harder for that. And I think,
Well, yeah, and like the way my sister's a lawyer, the way she lives very different than the way I live now. Well, she just started. Congrats to her. But it's like, you know, I'm really proud of her, right? And I could have gone down that road too, and but I chose not to, and I, you know, don't make as much money because of it. And my parents, they did well. They don't have the means to support me for the rest of my life. Like the amount of money that she describes there it's just a lie. And I
Yeah.
think she's probably distorting a conversation where we had where I said I could have gone to law school and made a lot of money and not had to work for the rest of my life. That's something I would say.
Right.
But I don't even want to get into it because
No.
she discredited herself by claiming falsely right below that in this Twitter storm she was having well into the late hours of Saturday night, even on her time, that the Majority Report did paid ads for the Harris campaign, which is like frankly defamatory. I mean, it's if you want to go down that road, that never happened or ever having had close to, you know, it was never close to happening, and we would never do that, and people would probably notice if we did ads. So I was making a joke that like we did it in code, but it just is. It's bizarre to use, and I knew it was a matter of time because of how desperate and unhappy she seems, that she was going to use our private conversations for her own ends. But again, I hate making it about myself. I don't talk about my family life. I try not to. I don't mention my fiance's name publicly. I try not to say my friends' names publicly.
Matt Lee.
I take my privacy extremely seriously. And she knew that, but she still chose to put me on blast anyway, because it feeds into an existing right-wing meme about who I am. But I got to stop talking about myself because it's really about them. Sorry, Francesca.
No. I mean, you didn't need to do all that, but it's fine that you did, because again, it was you were personally attacked by her. I'm not going to throw up the tweet, but to continue a little bit and to close, I think the other thing that's very revelatory for me and has been been very upsetting, and the reason why I asked her to come on the show is because Cenk came on the show, and even though he had been making the rounds on right-wing outlets, Patrick Bet-David, and going, on to the TPUSA conference and wanting to have a beer with Charlie Kirk, he did come on my show. He did go on Mark Lamont Hill shows. He went on Brian Tyler Cohen's show. He actually faced some supposed, some leftists, some progressives. And instead, we have smatterings of where Anna's been over the last 6 months to a year to longer than that. She's been making the rounds on right-wing news with, obviously, these are obviously thumbnails. So I'm not saying this is exactly what she said, but she does make the argument that the left is the biggest problem and that they are the ones who've made her leave the left. What I Got Wrong with Glenn Beck, how the left is alienating its own people with Chris Williamson, who's sort of, again, standard YouTube, mass account. Why I Left the Left with some, what did the health influencer Jillian lady? Obviously, got to go on Piers Morgan. Dems made a deal with the devil. Anna Kasparian slams her old party. Anna on why she's calling out the lack of self-reflection by the Dem side of the left with Megyn Kelly. I don't have a problem with calling out the lack of self-reflection from the left. I don't have a problem with talking about purity politics. I don't have a problem with talking even about some of the issues that, again, she thinks are, intractable, like, again, crime stats being up when they're actually not. Homelessness. It's like, well, what do we do? All these Dems are just getting their hands in the pile of homelessness services. And that's why, I am for homelessness services, but these Democrats, that's why I'm voting for Rick Caruso. I'm telling you, it's okay to have these conversations, but where you are having them shows a lot about not just your ideology, but your willingness to sell your former colleagues down the river and the broader movement as a whole because they're using you. They're using you. And are you cool with being used like that?
Well, I think
yes.
It's obvious. I think that clearly, she's not on the left anymore, right? She's like unassociated or something, as like the announcement that she made. And so I don't understand why she has to keep pretending if she isn't doing what Dave Rubin, what other Why I Left the Left people have done in the past, which is essentially elevating your profile and going on these right-wing shows while validating all of their talking points and saying that you're representative of the left when you're not. Piers Morgan does this all the time on his show where he says he's a liberal and then he says
I'm basically a liberal.
Right. It's a very, very lucrative way to operate in media. It's short. The shelf life is not great, and you may cash in. Like Dave Rubin has made millions, but his views don't do that well because he had to eventually admit he was a conservative and not the last liberal. So that's she's going down that path, it seems.
They were like, ew, why are you still gay then?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But it is what's upsetting is like I wanted TYT to succeed, and I want to try to find a way to elevate all these other leftist channels. They're doing such great work because this isn't a competitive thing for me. This is a collaborative thing, and I really do want I wanted and believed in. That's why I wanted to work there and why I looked up to Cenk my whole life. The idea of a left-wing network that would have the reach that how many million subscribers they have. That would provide. That's something that I was really excited about, but I think they really lost their way. They tried to expand way too quickly. They took all that investment money. They hired a bunch of people. They tried to do entertainment shows and everything. And then it was like all these rounds of layoffs. I'm in New York. I'm on the road. I'm hearing, oh, they're not treating their staff that great. Oh, is there a unionization effort that's happening that they're trying to tamp down? Wait, why did X person get fired when that person was leading the unionization effort? Right. I'm hearing about these closed door meetings that they have where there are lawyers that are kind of intimidating folks. Mm-hmm. And that was around the time when I'd heard about this that I made the decision to leave the show because it seemed to me that like there were some overstretched finances and also a lack of like real belief in a left-wing project. And I learned really to trust my gut in that way. But I do just want to say one thing about that as well is like, Anna also implied in that tweet that that we would be the reason that they would have to lay off employees. And that's why they took that Polymarket sponsorship because other people have been critical of them. I'm just like truly in awe of the inability to self-reflect or take a step back from one's own ego to say that it's everyone else around them that's the problem. Everybody else is just trying to make money off of them. Everybody else is grifting. It's not us. We don't have to look internally about our own decisions and life choices and our own like extreme anger that's off-putting in and of itself for the show. Like I tuned in a few years ago and I was just like, I can't watch this shit anymore. They're just screaming.
I mean, you're talking to a stand-up
It's
comic. I have to have some levity, otherwise I'll die. Like,
it's crazy. They seem very unhappy, and also it reflects in their coverage. And I don't know. I mean, look, again, it doesn't. I don't care about that but I hope they're okay. At the end of the day, I don't want Ana to be suffering. I don't want things to be bad for her.
I hope that she finds the peace she's looking for. Right now, we got a Thelma Louise situation, but there ain't no cliff. They're just driving around in circles. Like, I don't know where we're going, but they've made a blood pact. And like, you know, I feel like we're along for the ride. And I just want to clarify, like, I've never been an employee at TYT. I've got another story for another time. There was a close call. I could have sued. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I've never been a full-time employee. I get asked to be on and I say yes or no. I rarely say no. I don't think I'm ever going to be asked to be back on the main show. Ever. I think that was sealed, if not after I had Mondale Robinson on, if not after I interviewed Cenk. I think probably by putting out a Curb Your Enthusiasm meme, that was sealed. But I would love to go on and actually have a robust debate, like I've often floated.
We offered them too. I mean, Sam has offered multiple times, and he says he's a grifter, which is very funny because I have to beg Sam to buy new shirts today. Again, his shirt had a hole in the sleeve. It's like he wears the same 5. I'm sorry. He wears the same 5, and I can tell. I'm like, that's the one. That's the white one with the blue marker. Like, why don't you just buy another J. Crew factory shirt? I know they're like $40, dude. Please.
They're not. Well, I mean, I feel like they're like 25 at this point. Depends on what you're buying from. But yeah, go to Marshall's. What are we doing? No, yeah, exactly. It is. And that's the other thing is, like, if we're doing it for clicks, it's personally, it's because I don't got a salary. I buy my healthcare, and I have
in the media business
ever since 2016 when I started working with TYT. I took maternity leave, but not really, because nobody was paying me, as I had to take time off to have a child and to raise a child. Never was on TYT salary, never was offered any compensation for that time. I've given them a lot of my time. And again, I don't regret it. I've enjoyed it. But it is a stretch to ever say, I would never say they have to thank me. And I would never say that I would thank them. It's adults. It's work. That's what it is. We are adults. We are not loyalists, and no one should be a loyalist to any place that they work for or anyone.
And if they expect it's unprofessional to put your personal relationships over your integrity and your journalistic integrity and how you call these things. It was upsetting for me to have to sever that tie. I don't like to do it. I said, I've made this joke before. Ask my exes. I stay in relationships. I've stayed in relationships way too long when I shouldn't have. I don't like doing it. But I had to make that decision because I had to put my professional integrity over my personal desire to like make things right with a company that I had admired my whole life and people there who I had been like so excited to become close with or friendly with or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, they're such that their egos are really so out of control and their egos are shattered. And I think that's part of why she's making up all these lies. But at the end of the day, no one would care about what any of these leftist streamers had to say if people weren't tapping into what they're saying. No one's distorting what you're saying. Everybody just thinks it's BS, and that's why they're clicking and why they're not really watching your show anymore.
Emma, let's leave it there. Thank you so much. And you know what? I think it's, you know, people were like, oh, I'm sorry, Ana attacked you. I'm like, dude, Emma actually worked there. Emma's, you know, this is not the first time that Ana spiraled out attacking Emma. Like, so she's been there, done that. So like, thank you for standing up for me. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, because it meant something to me, and I appreciate you. And everyone needs to be watching.
Stick together. Look, I mean, I last thing I'll say on this, I have regret. I should have stood up for like Olayemi, who's also my friend back in the day, but I was still trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. And when I saw her say that no one would listen to you, I'm about to get mad. Francesca, you're brilliant and you're smart and you're funny.
I know.
And like,
I know. No,
there are so few women. And I mean, Crystal is like, there are some dynamite superstar women in this space that we all need to be banding together and standing together. Like, you know, I work in an all-male office. A majority of our audience is male. We need to bring in women into the progressive movement.
Not mine.
So
I'm like 75, 25, female, male.
Oh, damn! I need to get into
Like
into
a
that
good
ratio.
10 non-binary, so not even tripping. No, exactly. That's exactly right. There are so few women in this space, and we do have to support one another. Emma Vigland, you're the best. She's the best. Literally, the last like 15 months of genocide, you know, your coverage has been so critical, and I think a lot of people are finding out about you with Sam, but also separate from. You know, I think if the TYT meltdown is another lesson, it's like never speak in wheeze because it gets weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Right.
Anyway, what's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.